Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if you're new here, I'm so happy to have you. My name is Urvi, I live in New York City and I make a variety of different videos on my YouTube channel. So feel free to go and look around, and please feel free to subscribe and like this video and stick around if you like my content. This video is going to be a continuation of the study abroad videos that I've been filming. They talk about my experience studying here, about the process of getting a student visa to study in the United States, etc. So if you haven't watched those videos, I recommend watching them. And in this video, I'm going to talk about my postgraduate experience, what kind of visas you need after graduating from college as a F1 international student, the process of getting a job post-graduating. I'm also going to be talking about the jobs that I have had and what kind of visas I've had. And as usual, I want to make this very information rich so that it actually helps you guys. So please stick around till the end of the video, and thank you so much for watching. Okay, so the OPT, which is actually an extension of your F1 student status, helps you get a job or seek employment in a field that is related to your major. So if you went to college for fashion marketing like I did, that field would somehow have to be related to your fashion marketing degree for it to count as an OPT. OPT basically lasts between 1 to 3 years depending on the school you went to and the kind of degree you got. So if you went to college for a STEM degree, which you can research more about on your own as to what qualifies as a STEM degree, you can get OPT that lasts up to 2 years and extendable up to 3 years. So you can continue working on the OPT status for up to 3 years. But if you went to school for a 1-year program like I did, or something that is not considered as a STEM degree, then your OPT only lasts for about 1 year like it did for me. So let's talk a little bit about the application process for your OPT. So basically you're allowed to apply for your OPT 90 days before you graduate, or 90 days before the completion of your course, and it's recommended that you do this at least between the 90 to 60 day window before graduating, because currently it's taking about 90 to 120 days, which it also otherwise takes about 3 months to get processed and for you to get your OPT card. The OPT card is a card that actually allows you an authorization to be working on your OPT. I'm gonna insert a picture. It looks something like this. So yeah, you can apply for your OPT either 90 days before graduating or 60 days after. It's usually recommended you do it before graduating. I did it 60 days prior to graduating because the window, like I said, takes about 3 to 4 months to get it processed and for you to get your EAD card, which is the employment authorization document. The timing with the OPT can be a little bit tricky, but I'm just gonna go over how I did it so you have like a rough idea of how to go about it. I applied 60 days before the end of my program, and you can indicate your preferred start date on your OPT. So like I said, my OPT was 1 year, and I could mention in my application on what date I wanted it to start. So you have to time this approximately right, because it does take some time to get a job, and you don't want your OPTs to start off in say August and not get a job until October, and there you've wasted 2 months of employment time there. So what I did was, since the last day of my course completion was on August 15th, I indicated an OPT start date of October 15th, which was 90 days from the end date of my program. I made use of all the 90 days that I could get to request my OPT start date, because getting a job is a whole process. It's a whole different ball game, and it really takes some time. I got my OPT card, which was supposed to be for the start date of October 15th, on October 21st. So I had lost about a week, which is not too much, because I know a lot of people who had indicated an October start date and didn't get their EAD card until November or even December. So some people, I know, lost about 2 to 3 months of their employment time, which is super sad, because you only get 12 months, and if you're gonna be losing time because of processing delays, there's no way out of it. So say you indicate a start date of September 1st and don't get your card till October 1st, your card is still going to have a start date of September 1st, despite it being their fault and it not being processed in time. So you have already lost a month there. So I would recommend just being very, very careful about the timelines. File your OPT early if you can, as early as you can, so that you're giving them ample time to process your EAD card. Okay, now let's jump into the job application process, and I also want to quickly talk about the jobs that I have had. So if you're in the same field as I am, you should get about an idea of the kind of jobs that you can look at to start off with. It took me about 3 months to get my first job on my OPT, which is such a crazy amount of time. I would have submitted at least 1,000 job applications with no exaggeration. It was like a full-time job. I used to wake up at 8 a.m. and until 6 p.m. every single day. I used to just sit and apply for jobs. So for my first job, I got a temporary market assistant position offer for just a very short 2-week contract role. And at that point I was also negotiating another a full-time job opportunity, so I thought it would be a good way to fill in my first 2 weeks. And I also, because my OPT had started and I didn't want to waste any time that I could be employed and work, I took the job opportunity at Coach as market assistant. Coach is a luxury brand, as you all know. It was 2 weeks. It was in their New York office, and I was doing a merchandising role, which was a little different from the marketing major that I had, but it still had a lot of similarities and stuff. So a market assistant is basically someone who helps the team, the merchandising department, just during and before market week. My role was basically to help the merchandising team throughout market week and before, help during the showroom appointments with the buyers, help with line sheets and a lot of merchandising Excel files, etc. So it was a very different role from what I was expecting, but it was a good experience nonetheless. And by the time I was finishing that role, I was also offered a full-time position as the social media coordinator at this phone accessories brand. It was a small startup kind of brand based out of Brooklyn, which I was pretty excited about in the beginning to get that job because they were really excited about my experience in social media. And let me talk a little bit about how I got that job. So basically, apart from my degree, I also at that time had a lot of experience with social media because I had been creating content for my own social accounts, managing my own website, doing all of that. So that experience was really valuable to them, and so they made it seem like a very exciting role, and I thought it would be a great start. And I still was trying to figure out what particular path in marketing I wanted to take, and because I was doing content creation for myself, I thought social media would be a pretty good role for me to be in, which I quickly realized I was very wrong about. The role, my passion towards the role, and also just being at I worked there for about 8 months. They promised to do my H1B Visa, but that didn't happen. The job was not great at all. I was micromanaged throughout the job, throughout my days, and it was just not a good company. All in all, the culture was bad. There was a lot of micromanaging. Like I said, there was a lot of toxicity and negativity from my manager, who was also the brand founder. But that is tea for another day, maybe another video. I had a horrible experience working there. The first few months were really fun and I learned a lot. And I also learned that I probably did not want to do social media for my career because I was already doing that for myself, and I was just getting really burnt out from being on Instagram all day for my job and also for myself. It was just a lot of screen time for me. Let me know if you want to hear more about that job and tea about why I hated that job and why it was so toxic. I wouldn't call it a wrong decision, but it was a learning experience for me. And I worked there for 8 months, after which I was almost coming to an end to my OPT. I was able to find a full-time role as a digital marketing associate for the brand that I now work for. I absolutely love working here, and my role is, like I said, a digital marketing associate, which I also, through my job here, realized that that's where I want to continue my career in. And I've been there for about 1.5 years now, and it's been great. So yeah, as a digital marketing associate, I work with the brands, paid social media accounts, manage all of the campaign reporting. So We have a lot of social media campaigns running throughout the year on Google, on Facebook, on YouTube, etc. So I manage all of the back-end reporting, the email CRM program, managing the insights, etc., and coming up with ways to make our campaigns better based on the insights. So yeah, it's a really interesting job, and if you want to look into digital marketing, I would totally say it's an exciting career, field that you can go into if you did study or go to school for marketing. But yeah, that was about my postgraduate, the jobs I've had, my OPT experience, and the visas that I had up until the point that I got to my current job. Finally, I want to talk about the H1B visa, how the whole process works, how you transition from your CPT or your OPT to a H1B, which is a work visa, and what kind of opportunities exist in the fashion, in the marketing field that I am in currently, and what are the chances of you finding a company that can sponsor your visa. So the H1B visa is a work visa where you're not in your student status anymore. It is a different status from your student status, and it puts you in the work category. So it starts off with a 3-year time frame, and then it's extendable up to 6. And this visa is basically sponsored for you by an employer, so you cannot apply for this visa by yourself as an individual. You need to have a company that is sponsoring you. So the company pays all of the visa filing fees, all of the attorney and lawyer fees if you do happen to get a lawyer, which 99% of people do, so the company pays for all of that. Just touching up a little bit on what kind of opportunities exist for, to find a company that will sponsor your visa. Honestly, in fashion or in the marketing field, I would say the chances are slim. It is extremely difficult, especially now with COVID and a lot of American workers losing their jobs, etc., to find someone that will hire you and also will sponsor your visa in the limited time frame of a 1-year OPT. So companies that I have heard of usually say, okay, we will bring you on to work for us for about a year and see how you do, and based on that we will think about if we want to sponsor your H1B visa. But your OPT only lasts for 1 year, so it gets a little tricky there. So if you do plan to go down that road, then good luck. It's not gonna be easy, but hopefully in the end it'll be worth it. I was super happy because my H1B was just approved after so many months. I started the process in, I think, January of this year, and it was finally approved in October. So I'm excited, and I'm officially on my H1B visa finally, after over 3 years of being here, which is super exciting, and concludes a long and very anxiety-ridden journey for me. Talking about the process a little bit, so basically H1B filing takes place somewhere around March, and it used to be different up until last year, but the process was just changed in 2020. So now if your employer wants to file for you, you basically have to just pay a small fee of, I think, $10 or so, and register on the USCIS website, provide whatever initial registration details that they require, and that's it. How the H1B visa works is there is a lottery that is conducted every year, because they receive about 200,000 applications every filing season, and the number of visas that are given out are only 65,000 each year as of right now. I mentioned this in my last video, and I said that if you do have a master's degree, you qualify for a special master's exemption or master's cap in your H1B, which allows you to have more of a probability to be picked in the lottery, which again is a computer generated system. Computer picks out random applications, and those are the ones that are selected for the H1B lottery. And once they have 65,000 randomly picked applications, the lottery is then closed, and those 65,000 applications are then processed and scrutinized to see whether or not they should be given a H1B visa. So that's how that process works. But if you have a master's degree, you do have a chance to be entered into a second lottery, which gives you more of a probability to be picked in the lottery. And based on my last video, I think a lot of you were confused, and I have been getting some questions why the LIM degree does not qualify for the master's cap, even though it is technically a master's degree. And the reason is that to qualify for the master's cap, you should have your degree from, first off, a non-profit public institution, which LIM is not. LIM is a for-profit institution. The degree you're getting also needs to be accredited by a nationally recognized government body. The MPS program at LIM is definitely properly accredited, but it's accredited by organization that was back then not considered national. It was a regional organization. So based on that, when I applied for my H1B visa, which was this year in 2020, my attorney told me that my degree would not qualify under the master's exemption. Always recommend, please do your research, please consult an attorney, please look up on your own sources and don't completely depend on information that you get online, because things change all the time with respect to visas and lottery. So it's best to do your own research and be extra careful. Once you do receive a notification that your application was picked is when you start putting together your petition, which is basically a very intensive document containing all of your qualifications, your details about the company that wants to sponsor you, and all of that. So I did have a lawyer doing all of that for me. And once your petition is filed, it takes about 2 to 3 months to hear back on whether or not it was processed. Without going into too many details, your H1B, once approved, basically changes your status from your student visa to your work visa if you were in the country during the time. And if you were outside the country, then you do need to have your visa stamped at the consulate through a consular interview and then enter the country. But if you were in the United States during the change of status period from your F1 student visa to your H1B, then it automatically gets activated, and you only need to do the whole consular process once you leave the country and want to return again. So yeah, for me the visa was approved in October, which was last month. I can literally go on and on talking about it for 2 or 3 more hours. Is that much to know about it? So yeah, just put in your hours and put in the work on your own if you are looking to go down that path. Hope you enjoyed learning about all of the jobs that I've had and the process. And if you do need more details, as usual, just hit me up on Instagram or leave a comment below. I always respond to my comments. And with that, I want to conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped you, and I will see you in my next one.